Rich, let's talk about these charges. He's facing conspiracy wire fraud, bribery, soliciting a foreign national for a contribution like Caitlin just mentioned. Just for our viewers, can you lay it out? How serious are these charges and how strong is the evidence against our current mayor in New York?
Well, the charges are pretty serious. I like Caitlin's breakdown a lot. I would add one more prong. He is charged with exerting his influence over the fire department to get a certificate of occupancy approved for a Turkish consulate that wanted to open and apparently wasn't ready to open. So he's not only accused of basically accepting bribes and using illegal election money, illegal fundraising, straw donors, illegally getting public financing for the election, but then carrying through by doing the bidding of the Turkish influences that were financing all of that. So put it all together, it's a pretty serious set of allegations. I mean, some of it, you look at it and you say, well, that seems like ordinary stuff. He's fundraising, he's taking money, people are breaking down donations through their employees, that kind of thing maybe happens all the time. But you put it all together over the long period of time it happened, and the fact that he then used his influence to benefit those people, I think it's a pretty serious set of allegations.
Yeah.
Your other question is how strong is the evidence, and that we're going to have to wait and see, I think.
And I think you're right. I know you're right, because a lot of FDNY members are saying they were actually afraid to say no to the mayor when they were constructing that building. Caitlin, the mayor is getting calls to resign. He says, I'm not going anywhere. But what kind of political pressure is he facing?
Quite a bit. It seems like the more political pressure he's facing, the more he's digging in his heels. But this FDNY thing that Rich just mentioned, I think stands out the most in the indictment, particularly when it comes to people deciding whether or not they're going to continue to support him or call for him to resign. Because we hear so often in cases like these, as I read through these indictments, undue pressure, put on political pressure, was tried to influence, but you never kind of see in black and white how it works. But this is literally brick and mortar. They're saying that this particular building wasn't going to happen until he put pressure on the fire department to get it up when it wasn't supposed to be to code. That's really tangible. So that, I think, is really adding into the political pressure. And he's hearing from really high-profile politicians like Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, for instance. And he's digging in his heels, saying that he is not only going to be able to fight his legal battle, mount a defense, but he's going to be able to run the city of New York. Whether or not that's going to be a successful endeavor, that remains to be seen. But he might not have a choice, too, because Governor Kathy Hochul can choose to remove him. And should that happen, should he resign or should he get removed, then the public advocate of New York, Jumaane Williams, steps in. He says he's ready to go, and then he will hold a special election in, I think, something like 80 days.
Rich, I have less than a minute, but I do want to talk about this. You understand the next step in this process. How realistic is it for Mayor Adams to continue to run this city while he's facing these serious charges?
I don't think it's realistic at all. I live and work in New York City, too. I'm a staunch believer in innocent until proven guilty. He has every right to take this to trial. He has every right to put the government to the test, but he cannot effectively run the city while he does that. He was already in trouble. He already has a crisis of confidence in New York City, a troubled administration. I don't think, in fairness to the city that he leads, he can continue to do so while he deals with this indictment. That's my view.
Rich, very quickly about that troubled administration, officials have resigned since we learned about this federal investigation. How likely are they to become witnesses in the trial against Mayor Adams? Here are just a few of them on our screen.
So far, Mayor Adams is the only defendant in this case, and my assumption is people are deciding if they're going to be defendants or witnesses, and there are a lot of discussions like that going on right now. So we're going to see some people pick sides, I think.
Caitlin, what can we expect in the next week?
We have another hearing on Wednesday, and that is just a status conference, but we're also looking out for potential new charges for these alleged co-conspirators. Just on Friday, his chief advisor, Ingrid Martin-Lewis, her home was raided by the feds.
All right, Caitlin Becker, Rich Schoenstein, this is a complicated case. Thanks for breaking it down for us, guys. And there is so
Thanks for watching. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.